All right, welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. I am your host, Rob Rafferty. Folks, Raff's Brain is my playground for goofy stories, real life adventures, experiments in openness, creativity, technology, bringing people together. This is Riffin with Raff. It's the stream of content of Raff's Brain where I get to reconnect with friends, people I admire, respect, adore, and there's no better guest to have on the show. I'm floored, I'm flattered, I am inspired to have here for today's episode, Bryce the third, the man, the myth, the legend. Bryce, welcome to the Raff's Brain. How you doing?
Yo, 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 Rob, what's going on, man? I love the energy. I love
Thank
the
you.
energy.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I am genuinely so thrilled and excited you are willing to come on my show to share with my tens of loyal fans and friends and listeners out there some of the lessons and insights that you've learned over the years. Folks, in case you are living under a rock and you don't know, Bryce is a prolific content creator. Okay. We met a few years ago when he was in our flagship talent development program where I work, but we hit it off because we had a shared passion interest in digital communications. You were working at the
Yeah,
time for a partner organization called the Phoenix, doing community building and content. And you clearly have an extraordinary skill at that. You've sharpened it and refined it. Now you're out and about on your own, storytelling, communicating, empowering people. Tell us a little bit about your journey, kind of elevator pitch on who you are, just to get my audience geared up. And then we're going to talk about some of the challenges you're facing and maybe work through some of that stuff together here for the next little bit.
yeah, no doubt. So I'm Detroit, Michigan based, content creator, storyteller. And when you talk about elevator pitch, it's always difficult to really reel it in because I've learned that storytelling means so many different things.
Yeah.
Like, are we storytelling for commerce? Are we storytelling through art? Are we storytelling for culture within a city? Are we storytelling for these? So it depends on the context of the conversation that we're having as to like what specific realm of storytelling we're digging into. But ultimately, I've just learned that storytelling in general is somewhat of a calling. And with the talent development program that we met each other through, I learned a lot about strategy and how to pair the ways that we tell a story with the objectives of a project in a way that's allowed for me to work with some really cool people. So yeah, it's a thing that I'm continuing to learn exactly what it is. I feel like storytelling is a Swiss Army knife. We could be talking about documentaries, we could be talking about creating songs or visual art. We could be talking about an event, a conference, and what we want people to leave with. Right now, I'm working on a local entrepreneurship expo, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the front end, arranging the panelists, choosing the panelists, what we want the conversation to be about, what we want the spaces, environmental design. All of that is storytelling. You go outside, somebody is telling a story to you. And I'm a really spiritual person, kind of. So like really and truly, like one of the deepest stories that we tell is a story that we tell about ourselves, our capability, how supported we are, and what it is that we can do, and the impact that we're having on the world.
Yeah, man, there might be nothing more fundamental to the human experience than the fact that we are all storytellers. We're wired for story. It's in our genes, it's in our bones, it's in our blood, man. So this is really cool to be connecting with you. And one thing I admire about you, aside from all the skill that you bring and the openness, and like what impressed me when we first met was how you were just experimenting with selfie videos and just posting stuff, content, learning, testing in ways that sometimes people get uncomfortable. They don't like to, make mistakes on platforms and that sort of thing. You were really willing to test, learn, experiment in ways that excited me. And one thing also that impressed me was your humility. You said,
Mm,
you do this for a little bit. You've partnered with some different organizations, folks. I mean, I'm gonna just toot your horn a little bit. Detroit Pistons, University of Michigan. You're like out there doing real big time partnerships. It's just so cool to see, and so it's exciting that you're out there on your own now, taken to the next level. But
yeah, yeah.
what prompted this conversation, which is exciting for me, is we keep in touch periodically. We DM or we're tracking each other's social content, and how'd that perform or what's going on here or there. It's frequent, it's infrequent, but it's enough we're staying connected. But you reached out to me. I want kind of what prompted you was I'm curious, but you were basically saying, Rob, hey man, I've been following your stuff, and I wonder if you have a sort of system that you use to organize all the content that you push out.
Mm.
And that's triggered a conversation that resulted in this podcast episode. But what prompted you to reach out to me? Was there something that you saw that I posted that got you curious, or just more like, the collection of everything over the years?
Yeah. I would say what prompted me to reach out to you was one, I like to lean on my network.
Yeah,
Um, Two is I've I've built a superpower of really paying attention to who is doing what it is that I'd like to do. And so you say how, you were inspired by me and how I was just putting stuff out in the universe and creating and doing selfie videos and putting it out there. I was inspired by you, how, you continue to be consistent and posting and trying different things and telling different stories. And I think that when I reached out to you, it's remained consistent because your response and maybe a bit of the strategy that you offered was in alignment with the way that I've seen you move throughout the years, where it's like uh I come I'm still developing. I'm still developing
for
in
sure. We all
mindset,
are, man. We
creativity.
all are.
I'm a baby in this thing consistently because, like you said, humility allows for you to continue to be great, and so I can tend to lean towards, okay, I'm going through something, something's here. And I think in the message I sent you was like, okay, I'm struggling with trying to figure out how to organize my content creation process or like social first initiative. And these are the things I'm struggling with. Do you have any idea of some things that I can use, or what are the things that you use? And then I think I may have mentioned in that message, like I feel like this is a unique experience and it feels like a YouTube video. Maybe, I'll compile my experience and put it out there as a YouTube video. It's like, hey, I'm a person who struggles with ADHD. I'm inspired, like I'm led by inspiration, and this is what I struggle with when organizing my content creation process. And here goes the YouTube video. Yeah, stop, full stop.
Yes.
And then you offered, it was like, hey, what if you just let people in on the process,
Yeah.
and let people in on what it's like in real time and offer people the opportunity to go along on the journey with you. And, that at the least, you got some content, but at
That's
the
right.
most, you'll get insight. You'll get people who raise their hand who are like, hey, I'm going through this thing too. Let's all figure this thing out together. And you build a point of trust with the people that you're telling your story to in real time. And I'm like, whoa, that's an interesting way to approach it. And as a matter of fact, like that's my mind didn't work like that initially. I wanted to have it all together, and it's just I've watched you over the years, and that's kind of been what you've continued to do. Is like, hey, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm gonna let y'all know that I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm gonna figure it out in public, and we're gonna do it together.
Thanks, man. That means so much to hear that. And yes, that's definitely my approach. I think these platforms can be really tricky. You see people that are polished and so good, and everything looks perfect. And some of my favorite content is of that variety. And I go, man, how do I even get there? And then I realized they weren't born that way. They had to learn and make mistakes and figure it out. Now they probably didn't share that journey, but I'm like, man, what value could I bring to the world if I just started making things and putting it out, warts and all, flaws, imperfections, but that I did make hopefully some slow and steady progress so that people who are interested could maybe get inspired to say, I can do that too. Because I don't think people realize that the barriers are so low now for anybody out there with an idea to share, an inspirational nugget, wisdom, questions, whatever. Please just take action and ask and make stuff, express yourself. The barriers are lower than
Yeah.
ever. There's no permission necessary. A lot of times it's like that fear of judgment that holds people back. So thank you for reaching out. I mean, I was really, but here's the funny thing, Bryce, which is really comical. It's funny that you asked, like, do you have any content like systems or processes that you use to like stay on top of your game? And I'm like, man, I need that too. I would love to know
Mm.
what systems people have right now. What I think I explained in my in our DM, but I can share here with the listeners too, is like I just have like basically a spreadsheet at the start of a week. I look at what's happening, what events are taking place for me, where am I going to be, what things do I want to cover. I have work responsibilities for social media internally. It's a gated platform that I post, several times a week for work. But then I'm on LinkedIn and X and Instagram and Twitter and or Twitter and X are the same thing. I get them all mixed up, dude. First of all, I have a quick question for you. Maybe this is a good starting point. How many platforms are you on? And like, how would you rank them in your own sense? Like, these are where you're confident, I have a good presence, and this is where I feel like I know, versus others where you might be a little less uh, present.
Yeah. I don't think that we should try to be everywhere. But also, what works for you works for you. If you like it, I
Word.
love it. For me, Instagram is probably the top because that's where my largest following is.
Okay.
I've got about 40K on Instagram,
Wow.
and I get a lot of engagement there. I did 1 million impressions multiple times last year with different pieces of content. The first platform I blew up on was TikTok. I
Okay.
did a video and I went from like, 2 followers to like 12K overnight. And like that was an interesting one. TikTok is not necessarily my platform.
Yeah.
It gets probably the least from me. And I do a lot of repurposing.
Hmm.
So the system I have set up right now is when I post to Instagram, my reel goes to Facebook, my Facebook public page, which is basically the same as my Instagram page,
Yeah.
and it goes to YouTube Reels. And so just in that repurposing, I use repurpose.io
Okay.
that allows for that like automation. And just in that repurposing, I took my YouTube from I think we had 300 at in November of last year, and we're almost like 750 subscribers on
Wow.
YouTube just through repurposing those shorts. And so I really want to get into like longer form content, and I've been experimenting as to like what that looks like, what the type of content that I make, how does that translate. Um, but yeah, so I would say YouTube, Instagram, and I'm starting to like lean into LinkedIn as well.
Fascinating. Yeah. So for me, that's cool, and that makes sense. And I think I'm still trying to figure out where I'm best adept, where I'm most adept. I haven't been on Instagram as much lately. Although this past week I just started a 30-day posting challenge. So every day I'm on there doing something and learning. That it's just an overwhelming platform. This, like you said, it's hard to be everywhere. On the other
Yeah.
hand, through repurposing, I think there are probably tactics and techniques and approaches that could empower us to be more intentional. So anyway, as it relates to the approach I'm taking lately, it's like I'm on LinkedIn fairly regularly. That's probably the place where I've accomplished the most over the past few years. I have YouTube for this podcast and I do shorts. And to your point, repurposing is really interesting for me. If you do a long form interview like what we're having here,
Hmm.
I'll put it up. It's not even that long, by the way. It'll be about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to put this on Opus Clip.
Opus Clips, I got that
I
too. Yeah.
love that, dude. It spits out like 20 different little short nuggets, and then you can figure out which ones of those might catch attention and pull people into your broader ecosystem.
Hmm.
Um, so I definitely think we're in the same mindset of long form, repurposed.
You know
Uh,
what's interesting too?
what's up?
Not to interrupt, but
No, jump in,
when
jump in.
when I hit you in the DMs,
Yeah.
the the answer that you get, because the question was like, "Hey, Rob, do you have any like how do you organize your content creation?
Right.
How do you organize your content creation? How do you organize your content distribution?"
Yeah.
And you were kind of like, "Hey, I just kind of do
That's
a
right.
spreadsheet, and beyond that, I'm kind of just going with the flow."
Yeah.
And what's interesting is you weren't the only person that I hit up. There's quite a few people that I admire that do this content creation thing, and I see
Mhm.
like consistently showing up.
Yeah.
And the consistent response was that everybody is just doing what works for them.
Yeah.
And even when I YouTube, like, hey, what's a good process? What's a you got your Hootsuites and your Metricools and these platforms, but there isn't one like um like if you think of like the DJI Osmo Pro, right?
Mhm.
The three, the 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 vlogger community kind of like all together just chimed in and said this is like the best vlog camera. It's tiny. When it was affordable, like it
Right.
was affordable. And it was like a consensus, like if you want to get started, grab this camera and you'll be pretty well off. There's no unanimous answer for content creation, scheduling, and organization that I can find because everybody is doing what works for them. And I think I just kind of want to lean into that too, because there's this notion that somebody knows more than me. There's this notion that somebody has a better answer than I've been able to put together within the realm of my own inspiration. And I think it's important to have, consecutive minds working together. That's how you get the mastermind principle. We think more when we're together. We
Yeah.
think better and we think broader when we're together. Just like you offered me a strategy that I would have never had thought of, but when you offered it, I'm like, that's genius, right? But then there's the thing where it's like, I'm me. And so my content creation process is going to need something that feels organic to me, that allows for the way my mind works to be the most productive and feeding off of the inspiration that it has in a way that I can organize it that makes sense to me. And that may mean that I use different tools than you do. But ultimately, like it's important for me to sit in this process long enough, be confused long enough, be okay with being confused long enough until things start to make sense. And the tools that I find that work for me are the ones that I need to be using.
Dude, that is such an awesome insight. It's basically what I'm hearing is individualized approaches. That's what the norm is. People don't appreciate it. We think someone has the solution or the spreadsheet or the master plan. All we got to do is get it and then we'll be fine. And that's not actually how it works. And I probably have spent so many years seeking that type of approach to almost any type of thing that I do. Oh, how do I start a
Mm,
podcast? How do I, write a graphic novel or any, and like, if I only had a 10-step approach that would map it all out, then I'd be set. And the reality is that whatever approach, there might be some value in as a starting point, looking for some of those, but it's going to ultimately come down to you and your methods and madness and unique, personality traits and that sort of thing.
yeah.
And I think the only way anybody will make progress is just taking actions. This is my big mantra these days lately. I talk to lots of people because they reach out and say, "Well, how did you get started? What do you do?" Like, listen, I mean, first of all, you need to know I'm not someone you should look to for inspiration. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go. I don't want you to, and I want to give the impression that I have it all figured out for
That's why
sure.
that's why you inspire us, Rob. You got to know that. You got to know
I
that. That's why
appreciate
you
that, man.
inspire us
Well, I want you
because
listen, as it relates to what I suggested. I know we have to land this plane here, and it's been a little bit like my show's obviously a little disjointed and fun like this. But dude, I cannot tell you how much I would, as a customer or consumer of your content, be excited to hear you talking about on a regular basis. I don't know what that is, if it's a YouTube selfie video, if it's just you walking around. There's a lot of different ways you could record it and execute it. It doesn't have to be super polished. But what you're discussing, how these you want to play on these three or four platforms which you articulated, and here's how I'm going to really start structuring my content and getting intentional and documenting that process over several months, I think could be very illuminating. And I mean, there'd be an audience for it, is what I'm getting at. I would definitely consume it. I'd be curious to see what you learn, what insights I could apply in my own work. And that's when we hit magic, when we're benefiting ourselves and we're making progress, but we're also sharing that with others, and they start to pick up maybe little threads of what we're doing. And there's no
mm,
one size fits all. It's not like, although it's appealing, it's like in a fantasy land, it'd be cool to have like Bryce the Third's social media ninja approach, right? Like that could become a thing. Maybe it is. I don't know, man. It's very cool just imagining what's possible. But I just appreciate your ethos, that your willingness to try new things, test. How real quick, I want to ask one more thing as we're wrapping up here. You're on these different platforms. Um, how about podcasting? How do you think about that venue? It's a little different maybe than content creation and storytelling. I don't know. What are your thoughts on podcasts, or would you ever consider like doing that a little bit more with your time.
So I love podcasting. I run a podcast currently with my co-host Liz McKean. It's called The Friend Lab. It's a podcast on creating adult friendships and what it is, like what human connection looks like as an adult.
Cool.
And it's really dope. Me and Liz, we met through the Phoenix, and we helped grow the Phoenix's podcast, Rise, Recover, Live, to 100K downloads all time, and it's
Wow.
still growing. And I like podcasting. I think we're still early in understanding exactly what the impact of podcasting is.
Yeah.
And if you look at what's going on and people doing it at a high level, you can go on Netflix right now, and there's some podcasts on Netflix
Yep.
now.
Yep.
But as for people who are starting out here, I think the best things that the best way I've seen people podcast is to do the podcast, but also record the video
Yes.
and then take that long form content, busting down in the shorter form content, like with the Opus clips or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
Throw that out on YouTube for YouTube Shorts, or throw that out on Instagram. Start an Instagram page for that podcast,
Yeah.
and then lead those individual short form clips to the longer form content.
Yeah.
And that's how I've seen people build an audience. And then there's other ways that might be, paid campaigns and stuff like that. But if you want organic, I think that's how I've been seeing our podcast grow.
Yeah. And then to me, the next step on that is live events, like a live podcast. Obviously, I've seen some of that. That's not a novel idea, but it's cool to imagine building a community around your audience that can get in person and connect. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's like next level ambition.
That's the
I'd love
that's
to
the
do some.
dream. That's the
That is the
dream.
dream.
That's
I
the
had a
dream.
birthday party in the fall where I got people together. I had this vision of, oh, yeah, if I could do this more often, it could be like a pod. Anyway, it is definitely something on my radar.
We've
Um,
done we've done quite a few of those. A couple for Rise, Recover, Live. I've done some for one of my first couple of podcasts I've started, and just to have a room full of people who are interested to like consume long form like talk podcast
yeah,
content. And when you have an in-person audience, well, one, now you're talking a whole different revenue concept, because you're doing hard ticket sales.
yeah,
It may be merch,
yep,
but two, like the people who will come out and see your podcast, like those are the people that are down for the ride. Dave Manheim from Dopey Podcast, he has a really dope following, and it's a recovery podcast, and he does DopeyCon every year, where it's like a conference where people come out, and it's in New York, and so podcasting is still I think it's still budding, and we're still figuring out like how to use it best, but it's got a lot of potential.
very cool. Listen, this has been a real joy, pleasure, and honor, frankly, that you'd spend your time just chatting with me a little bit about what you're up in these days. And I wish you nothing but the best as you figure your system out, man. And like you said, it's not going to be anyone providing you the answers. You're going to figure it out, but you're going to get little nuggets and ideas. Hopefully, I'm some small source of that, and there'll be many others that you can learn from as well. But for my listeners who might be curious about following you, listening, consuming more of your content, and getting excited about it, can you tell us where we can find you? Where are the different places where we can get on the Bryce Cobb the Third train?
Yeah, you could check out the Friend Lab, which is a podcast with me and my co-host Liz McKean. Beyond that, you can Google Bryce the Third, and all of the stuff I got going on will pop up. Whether you're into hip hop or you're into, content that keeps you going, stuff you can share with the people you love, or longer form content that pours into you and helps you encourage you to like unfold. Yeah, just Google Bryce the Third, and I'll pop up. I just got a gig most recently, and the person who called me, she was like, You'll never guess where I found you." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." He's like, "You got the best recommendation in the world." I'm like, "Who recommended me?" She was like, "Chat GPT."
Oh, wow. You've infiltrated the AI bots, man. You're
Yeah,
set. Especially since
it's
the ads
amazing.
ads are coming out on those platforms. You're gonna get all sorts of referrals, man. That's
All
fantastic.
right, it's crazy.
Listen,
So yeah, yeah.
awesome stuff, man. Thank you. Keep doing what you do. You're an inspiration. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for being on the show. And I'd like to bring you back maybe sometime in the future. We can catch up and see how what other progress you're making, what other barriers you're encountering. And I do hope to see you, out there even more in the future. And encourage everyone to follow his work. I'm going to drop all of the links to your content in the show notes. People can make it very easy to like and follow and get behind this guy because he knows what he's doing. He's very cool, and I'm just happy he's part of the Raff's Brain universe. Thanks, Bryce. I appreciate
Hey,
you.
thanks for having me, Rob.